Hello lovely people, how are you all today? I hope you're all feeling super duper and spiffing. I'm getting a bit of a cold. Grrr, I can just feel it brewing. So annoying. I seem to be prone to getting colds, but never mind. So because of that, I'm gonna cook some comfort food for myself today. Yay! And I can't wait to show you guys. This is such a lovely one. So today I'm cooking a fassolada, which is basically Greek bean stew. And I was thinking about this as I was falling asleep last night because I was starting to feel a bit grotty and grim last night. And I was thinking, what can I make for myself to make myself feel better tomorrow? And this came to mind. And as I was drifting off, myriad memories came back and it was wonderful. So this recipe is actually stolen from Mama. I can't remember her name, everyone referred to her as Mama, who was the mother of someone I made friends with in Greece, and I cooked it with her a couple of times. I'm really lucky in that I've been able to travel through Europe so much over the years. Not so much in the last 10 years, but sort of in my 20s and 30s and into my early 40s. I've loved it. Buses, trains, boats, bicycles, you name it, absolutely brilliant. And I've gone back time and time again to Greece, both the mainland and the islands, because I just love it there. I love the water for swimming, I love the scenery, I love the heat. Oh, please can we have a summer? I love the food, I love the people. And actually, if you're a vegetarian, the Mediterranean and sort of Near Eastern, Middle Eastern countries are great for eating. Yay! So I was thinking about this last night and one particular trip. I can't remember, I think I was in my early 20s and I made friends with a family. Basically, I hadn't booked a hotel. I don't stay in hotels, I tend to stay in a room in a farmhouse or a little cottage or what have you. But on this occasion I was roughing it and I was sleeping on beaches. I don't know if it's safe to do that these days, certainly as a single woman. But anyway, I was roughing it and I'd overslept one morning and I was found on the beach. Long story short, me and this chap and his family became firm friends. Sotirios, he was great. That was in, I think it was about the June. By October I was back to stay with the family in their house because one of the daughters was getting married. It was amazing. If you ever get the chance to go to a Greek wedding, you have to go to a Greek wedding. But what I found in my travels, because I travel quite independently, is I tend to make friends with the locals, which is great fun. And when they hear I'm vegetarian or can I have this, can I have that? Wherever I've been, it seems that people take great pride in saying, it's not a problem, let me make something for you. And the number of times, even in restaurants where I've been taken into a back kitchen and either watched or helped with the prep is, I can't even remember the times. But it's such great fun, I've loved it. So this fassolada is, I'm trying to remember how Mama made it. And it also, in so many ways, it kind of sums up my relationship with food in that, look, I'm not into fancy pants ingredients. I'm not into sort of la-di-da presentation. Ooh, a smear with this and a coulis of this and a drizzle of, I can't. I like my food simple, straight from the garden, into the kitchen, cooked, good, hearty, wholesome, flavoursome veggies, yum. And I really love food that we can make in one pot, and that one pot gets put in the middle of the table and everyone helps themselves from it. What could be more beautiful? I also, when I'm cooking, I love that thing of the memories it provokes, either because of the smell of a veg or, so for instance, I'm using some thyme today. So beautiful. That to me is the smell of Greek mountainsides. It's the smell of summer. When I smell that, I can hear cicadas. I can hear gently lapping waves. You don't ever get big crashing waves in the Mediterranean, not enough tide. Anyway, so yeah, so for me it's that kind of hearty peasant food. I call it peasant, not meaning it in a derogatory way at all, that's how I think of myself. Hearty, simple ingredients, prepared with family, with friends around, all eating at the same table at the same time, the noise of a table, the chink of glasses, the chat, 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 chat. What could be more beautiful? So, although I'm cooking on my own today, and I shall be eating this on my own today, don't want to spread these germs, all the time I'm going to be having memories of that kitchen halfway up a mountain on an island which I'm not going to name because I don't want you to go there because it's not really a touristy island and I want to keep it for myself. So yeah, yay! But the other thing about this recipe is it's a great use for I'm going to just get one out now, my gigantes. Look at the size of that big Bertha. I mean, it's huge. It's like twice the size of a runner bean. Now, I'm using up freezer stored stock at the moment because I'm trying to run my freezers down so that I can empty them, get them defrosted, get them cleaned and get them ready for the new season. So I do have a load of these dried still, so they'll keep me going, but I'm using the freezer ones today. Didn't have quite enough, so I've put in there, I've added in some of the lovely coco de pampol, actually. How about this for size comparison? The reason I'm using the coco de pampol is because, like the gigantes, they've got a lovely creamy texture. They hold some of their bite when they're cooked, but they've got that gorgeous creaminess that the gigantes have. So if you don't have gigantes, any of the sort of butter type beans would work well. They've just had a 20-minute steam so that I know that they're cooked, but they'll carry on cooking in the stew as we get going. So, happy cooking with memories as you cook, guys and girls. Right, let's have a little look at the ingredients. Now, just to say, if you have an ancient family recipe for fassolada and it's different to this, please don't get cross with me. This is sort of what I remember from my little stay with Mama and Soterios and the rest of the family. So we start with the equivalent of a tin of tomatoes. These are out of the freezer as well. We're going to have, can we see in there, half a litre of stock. I'll come back to these in a second. Actually no, 3 carrots just chopped up, an onion and 3 cloves of garlic chopped up, about the equivalent of a tin of beans. So, there's probably about 300 grams in there. I'm quite greedy with my beans though, so if you want a few less, fine. If you want a few more, fine, but it's about 300 grams, I think. A potato, which I need to chop up. This is shop bought celery. Never mind. It's 3 stalks chopped up. I would prefer to have had my own, and even though my stalks are much shorter, I would still probably use 3 because I'd have all their leaves for flavour as well. Actually, just on that point, this is probably a really good store cupboard recipe for most of you. So apart from, well, let's see now, if this was back in December, you'd probably be able to have it all either from the store cupboard or fresh from the garden. But no, I've had to buy potatoes, my potatoes run out, and I've had to buy some celery. Another note on the celery, this has come from a supermarket, where they're long and skinny and pale. The place I would normally get celery, if I had to buy some, sells it, it's a similar variety to mine. It's not shorter, but they sell it with all the leaves as well, so it goes much further in terms of flavour. However, when I popped over there this morning, they didn't have any in, and they're not expecting any until tomorrow, but I was greedy to have this right now. And then of course the thyme. Oh, beautiful. I want to have a sniff of it again. You don't have to use the thyme if you don't have any, but for me it's just like I was saying earlier, it is that smell of grease in the summer for me. So let's get cooking. Oh, don't the colours alone make you want to make this? absolutely gorge. So I'm going to start off with the onions and garlic. Just going to sweat them down a bit. Just turn that down. Now most of you know, normally when I do this I would have a bit of oil and a bit of water in the pan. Oopsie. So I'm getting a sort of a fry / steam at the same time. But this time I'm not using any water, I've just gone with oil, because that's how the Greeks would do it. Unfortunately I don't have any Greek olive oil, I only have my Niswazian olive oil. I'm sure it'll be okay. So with everything else, in terms of chunking it up, everything's in sort of bite-sized pieces, so spuds are in sort of bite-sized pieces, skin's on, it's organic, carrots are in little bite-sized pieces. We'll get to all of those once the onions have had a little bit of a sweat down. Oops! The danger of putting your onions on and then answering the telephone. A few of them have caught, never mind. So, onions and garlic have sweated down. Time to add celery. Sorry, let me do it that way. Smell. Carrots. So 3 sort of medium-sized carrots, or 2 biggies, or whatever you've got. No hard and fast rules. Give them a little scrunch around. Potatoes. Well, it's a potato. I would say that's also a medium-sized potato. Oh. More of a scrunch, more of a scrunch. Is it all going to fit in? Maybe I need to invest in bigger pans. Then the gorgeous beans. Oh, I can't wait to eat this. Now the thing about this recipe that's great is once all these ingredients are in, we're going to leave it on a very, very low. What's that in the carrot? I don't know what that is. I'll cut that little bit out. Yeah. It's going to simmer for about an hour, which is great, means I can get on with other things. The only problem is, I'm hungry now. Right, tomatoes. So because it's going to simmer for an hour, you're going to need to just check on it intermittently. You may need to add more liquid. Turn the heat right down. If you need to add more liquid, you could add some just hot water, or you make up a bit more stock. So this is ½ litre of stock going in. You should just about cover. Yay! Give it another bit of a stir. Disperse those tomatoes, but I really do need a big pan, don't I? I think this pan is a 2 litre pan. One of these days I'll invest in a 4 litre pan. This should make 4 decent portions, but knowing me and how greedy I am, it'll be more like 3. And then last but not least, pop your thyme in. I've tied it because when it comes time to serve up, I'll take the thyme out. I'll have a time out when it's ready to eat. Okay, so that, lovely people, is that. Lid back on, low heat, and let it bubble away for anything from an hour to an hour and a half. Just check on it intermittently, give it a stir, make sure it's not catching. But otherwise, go off, do something else. What can you do for an hour? You could read a chapter of a book, you could gaze out of the window and watch the birds, you could call a friend on the phone and have a natter, or you could do some housework, which is something that I won't be doing. So we'll come back in an hour and see how it looks. Actually, it looks gorgeous already, doesn't it, with those colours? Yay, always the exciting moment. So this has had an hour and a half of bubbling away. I'm just going to pop that there a sec for my time. An hour and a half on a really, really gentle simmer, but actually for the last 10 minutes I turned the heat off because the heat is well retained in these lovely pans. And look at that. Hopefully you can pick up on the screen just how You can see that as the potatoes start to disintegrate a little bit, it's helped to thicken up all the sauce. I'm just going to hoik the thyme out. I've got to say, the smell of this cooking has been driving me ever so slightly insane. It smells so gorgeous. And the smell of thyme, oh, it's just beautiful. So, there we go. It's thickened up beautifully. Anyway, enough of that. Let's try a mouthful. I'm going to move you all backwards while I get some served up. Yum, yum, yum. So as I was saying, hopefully this is the sort of thing you can all have a go at making with. Hopefully you have a lot of stuff stored from last year still, your harvests. But if not, it's actually going to be an incredibly cheap, simple thing to make if you have to go to the shops. You know, the vegetables, they're not expensive vegetables. The beans, if you buy beans dried, it's really economical. But let me get my laughing gear around this. I'm going to have a mouthful with one of the coco de pampol. God, they're so creamy and gorgeous. And I'm going to have a mouthful with the gigantes, which will probably take me half an hour to chew because they're so massive. So yeah, have a little look at your stored produce. Have a look at what's in your cupboards. See if you can chuck it together. The gigantes. I can't even begin. Oh, they melt. It's like they melt. There's a little bit of a bite initially. I didn't double skin them. In other words, they were podded, and after they were cooked this morning, I didn't take that skin off like I would say with the broad beans. You might find, have a go, but you might find you want to skin them. I don't. I quite like that bite. And then the burst inside, it's so creamy, buttery, yummy. It tastes incredibly rich. And if you think about it, there's a little bit of olive oil in there, but otherwise there's no fat, there's nothing, and it's so rich tasting. Oh, I'm going to get my face in this. I'm already starting to feel better. And the other gorgeous thing, really lovely. If you make your own bread, this is perfect for it. You get to the end of a bowl and you have that lovely tomatoey, juicy stuff in the bottom of the bowl. Chuck another glug of olive oil in there and mop it up with your bread. What could be more heavenly? So now, I'm going to say cheerio to you all. I'm going to eat this. I might even eat it with my eyes closed and dream of the beautiful heat of Greece. I'm certainly getting the smell of Greece from that time. It's gorgeous! I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to turn you all off because I really want to chow down. So go on, have a look in your cupboards, have a look in your freezers, see what beans you've got, see what tomatoes you've got, onions. If you have to buy a couple of extra bits, they'll be dead cheap, just buy them loose. And make yourselves some gorgeous fassolada. And think of summer. So I'm going to crack on with eating this. Hopefully I will see you all again really soon, in the garden maybe, if I can get this cold to do one. But in the meantime, whatever you're up to, have fun, be inventive, be creative, just get stuck in and give things a go. See you all soon. Take care.